From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DBICD Primetime Capper, and it is time for the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles Live. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. We are literally at the end of the week this week, but not at the end of the week. We still got one more day of show and everything like that. But today we do have our Thursday night football. We have ourselves some Thursday night college basketball. We got a kind of a slow night in the NBA. We only got 2 games in that accord. And we got a bowl game in Fort Worth, Texas, over there as the Armed Forces Bowl is going to be played tonight between two really good teams in Baylor and Air Force. So let's go ahead and jump into our first topic in hand, and that's going to be the Thursday night football preview. You got the Jazz coming in here 6-8. You got the Jets at 7-7, and the Jets have a 2.5-point spread tonight, over under of 36 that's going on in this game tonight as well too. So let's go ahead and see exactly what the notes say for this game and what should we be doing tonight? This game is really important for both teams because this is the Jags season, in my opinion. If the Jags don't win this game, their season is over. I know that a lot of people are already giving them a chance at winning the NFC South and everything like that. But I mean the AFC South, because they are 6-8. And the Titans are 7-7, and they do have the win in the series as well too this year, where they did beat them to 36-22. Nobody really saw that one coming, but they do have a game at the end of the year that possibly will decide who's going to be the winner of the AFC South. But honestly, if Tennessee's able to go ahead and get 2 more wins here on the way out, they'll be able to get that. They'll be able to secure that situation. But they have to. But we'll worry about that when that comes around. But tonight, the Jags are looking to try to win this game tonight. Jets need to win this game to stay in the playoff hunt, because the Jets were sitting comfortably for the last month or so in that playoff spot, in the 7th playoff spot, and pretty much after going 6-3, this team has wound up only going 1-4 since that point. So the Jets are not playing good football right now. It's just that simple. And the Jaguars are playing some of their best football at the moment. So when you look at the notes coming on into the game, the Jags are 2-5 against the spread and straight up on the road. They're 6-5 against the spread as an underdog. They're 5-4 against the spread and straight up versus the AFC. And then they're 6-8 against the spread. Now, when it comes down to over/under, they've went over in 8 of their 14 games. And then they've went over in 11 of their games as an underdog, and on the road in their 7 games, they've been over 6 times. Now, versus the AFC, different story. In their 9 games, they went under 5 times. Jets coming to this one having a little bit of a quarterback controversy. Once again, Zach Wilson will be the starter, but Zach Wilson is really supposed to be the starter. But I know that they have a lot of faith in Mike. And I know that pretty much Joe Flacco is like the last option, but he may be the best option in my opinion. So you have the Jets 3-4 against the spread straight up at home. They're also 2-1 against the spread and straight up as a favorite. They're 5-5 versus the AFC. They're 8-6 against the spread. They're 6-4 versus the AFC. They're 5-9 when it comes down to the over/under in their 14 games. They've went under in 9 of those 14 games. Now at home, in their 7 games, they've went under 5 times. And versus the AFC in the 10 games they played against them, they've went under 7 times. So when I look at this game is more about scoreboard watching than anything. And I really truly feel that tonight, I know weather will play a big part in this game, but I do truly feel like tonight that defenses will not be as glamorous as they've been kind of the past few weeks for these teams. Even though Jacksonville's defense did not do that great last week, they gave up 34 points. So I truly do feel like this one does come down to who wants it more in the fourth quarter. This will be a close game, but I don't see this game being a good old fashioned slobber knocker, a drag them out and cold weather game. I really do feel like the Jaguars are going to be up to this, the Jets are going to be up to this, and this game does wind up going over the 36 that's sitting there right there, in my opinion. I think that's the best bet going for this game. And I have some more bets for you when we do get to talking tickets. So you guys just stay patient, and we'll be right there in a second to well, not there in a second, but we'll be there in a moment. But let's move on to the Armed Forces Bowl. Forces Bowl, very good bowl game today. Very good matchup. You have Baylor 6-6 representing the Big 12. You got Air Force 9-3 representing the Mountain West. You have a spread of 3.5 going for this game, with Air Force being the underdog in this spot. Also, you have another low spread here for college football, 43.5. Yeah, so when I look at my notes for this game, you have a Baylor team coming in here 7-5. They're feeling themselves, but Baylor could have been better this year, but they just had a lot of different moments. They had a moment in time where they were 3-1, and then they lost 2 games in a row, and then they won 3 in a row, then lost 3 in a row on the way out. But those were all to ranked teams as well too. So they have that up under their cap, but they just haven't played ranked teams well. And when it comes down to being a favorite, they're 3-3 against the spread and straight up. First non-conferences, they only played 3 games, and they're 2-1 against the spread and straight up in that category. In their 12 games, they went over 8 times. As a favorite, they went over 4 times in those 6 games. And then against non-conference, they actually went under in 2 out of those 3 games. Now, Air Force comes into the game very confident. Air Force had themselves a great season, fell short of winning the Mountain West, but it happens. They lost to Boise State. That was kind of the deciding factor, and they lost to Utah State as well too, and they lost to Wyoming. So all their losses came in conference play this year. They've been excellent against the non-conference schedule, like really good against that schedule this year from what I'm seeing. And when I look at the notes, this team is 6-6 against the spread, so they're even in that category. And fun fact, this team has not been an underdog all season. That's key coming into this game. Then you have 4-0 versus non-conference. They were very good in non-conference this year. They were able to beat Colorado, who wasn't really good. They beat up on Northern Iowa as well. Also, they got a good win over Army, and then they were able to get a good win over Navy as well too, beating Navy 13-10. But those were their hardest fought wins of the season, playing against the other armed forces groups. So pretty much when it came down to playing, top tier teams, they in their conference, they didn't do as well as you would want them to do. But I still think those games were close enough to say to yourself that this Air Force team comes to play. And I don't know if Baylor might be as interested in this as they are. Now, when it comes down to over-unders for these teams, they've had 12 games. They went under in 7 of those games. And also they're split when it comes to non-conference, and they're also split when it comes to non-conference versus the spread as well too. So they're 2-2 in that category as well. So pretty much Air Force, I like them. I like them a lot. And you know what? I had to flip my pick today. I didn't care. I feel like when I saw the stat that said this team is 4-0 versus non-conference this year, they haven't been an underdog all season. You have a Baylor team coming in here, losers of their last 3 in a row. It's really an easy call. Let's go ahead and rock out with the Air Force here in the Armed Forces Bowl. This game means a little bit more to them because this game is honoring their services as well too. So I do like the Air Force to go ahead and do their damn thing and get us a good win today. So there it is, and we'll move on from there. Let's go ahead and jump into our next topic in hand, and that's going to be about some just some talk. Jalen Hurts is trying to go ahead and play this weekend, and Hurts is trying to get back for Cowboys game. Should he start or sit? That's the question. Should he start or sit? I wish I had a call-in segment going on right now, but you do have the guy who can be the possible MVP of the NFL, who has came up with an injury, not at the right time either. We're here late in the season, but it could be the right time because they can go ahead and give this guy a rest. Now, this team coming out there week 7 they've been incredible. They're 7-1 since that point. They started the season off 6-0. They're 13-1 overall for the year. And you tell yourself, like, why do you really need to, like, why does he need to rush into this game? Well, because it's the Cowboys, and because simply, if you say drop these next 4 and the Cowboys win these next 3 and the Cowboys win their next 3, you could possibly find yourself not having that first round bye that you want. I think what Hurts wants to do here is he wants to enter this game, get this team the significant win that they need to be the NFC East champions, because if they do win Saturday, they do win the East. So I'm thinking that he wants to come in, he wants to play badly to go ahead and ensure that they win this game. Now, he's having an incredible season. He has over 4,200 yards in total. That's with passing and rushing. This is a season that's historic in its own way. Now, you have a guy who's thrown 22 touchdowns, over 5 interceptions. He has a 104.6 QB rating. Also, he's thrown for 3,472 yards and is averaging 248 yards per game and 8.2 per attempt. So he's very valuable to the future plans of winning any type of championship, getting to any type of NFC title game for these Philadelphia Eagles. I know a lot of people keep saying it's team, but I really think that you're taking a lot away from a guy who's rushed for 747 yards and also has 13 touchdowns in that category as well too. So all in all, he has a total of 35 touchdowns on the season. That's absolutely incredible. And they are talking about that quite possibly he may not be the MVP this year. I say boo-hoo to the haters, because there's no doubt in my mind that he's not going to win the MVP this year. It's much deserved. If anybody deserved to win the MVP this year, it's Jalen Hurts, simply because he's having one of those type of seasons. But we've seen Russell Wilson have seasons like this as well too, and he didn't win MVP. So I know a lot is going into this game. I think that Hurts wants to play because he's hearing the rumblings of, he may not be the MVP, and he wants to go ahead and make this the game that cements him as the MVP, in my opinion. But I think that the coach has the right idea. Do not press this thing. You have a shoulder injury to the throwing shoulder. Please just go ahead, take your time, and literally, if you have to take the rest of the season off, go ahead and take the rest of the season off, because they're going to need you more in the long run. And I truly do feel like once Philadelphia gets that significant win that confirms that, because all they need is one win, and they have locked up the bye. They've locked up the East, so they don't have to worry about being the first seed, because literally they've already pretty much settled the first seed conversation by beating the Minnesota Vikings so early in the season. So pretty much what we have here is a team that is looking forward, and that's exactly what their coach is doing. But I feel like the quarterback, is kind of being just a tad bit selfish here by trying to get this accolade, this award. I know everybody will say, no, he's not chasing that. But this is the biggest, FU moment for Jalen Hurts, because a lot of people wrote the guy off when he got pretty much thrown away at Alabama, went to Oklahoma. They felt like, okay, you're going to Oklahoma. This is about the offense. You'll just be a good game manager, whatever. He blew it up over there at Oklahoma. He goes to the NFL in the second round. A lot of people felt like, okay, this guy would just be a great backup to what we already have here as our starter in Carson Wentz. It did not go that way at all. So now you have Jalen Hurts, who got into the games late in the season, his rookie season, and has pretty much been the man ever since. So he wants to go ahead and prove to the world that he was overlooked and that this is his big moment to show you guys that he was worth everything, and he's trying to get them dollars as well too on that next contract. So it is what it is at the end of the day. Jalen Hurts, though, in my opinion, just sit it out, bro, and wait for your shoulder to tell you it's ready, and that's probably going to be in the next month. All right, so we move forward. Let's go ahead and jump into our next topic in hand, and that's going to be the Blue Crew Daily and the Dodgers. What do the Dodgers have for us? The Dodgers Blue Crew Daily. Dodgers looking to add more players. Will they make a big trade? Well, the Dodgers, from what I'm hearing, is they're very interested in Reynolds from Pittsburgh. But that guy's already disgruntled as is. And sometimes when you're bringing a disgruntled guy into the locker room, it might not be the best fit. You know what I mean? Even though he's mad and it probably make him happy if he comes to the Dodgers, what happens when the Dodgers don't want to do something the way that you want them to do it? Then you're just now being a big, problem. And the Dodgers need nobody in their locker room that's going to be a problem. Pretty simple, pretty much point blank. Because a lot of people always ask why Puig was here. He wasn't a great locker room guy. That's why he's not here anymore. And that's why the Dodgers have not tried to attempt to bring him back either. So they're trying to make sure that you keep things civil. You know what I mean? And I think that the Dodgers making a move for him would be significant, but they're going to have to give up some quality foreign players as well too. But there's some guys that the Dodgers have that can be moved right now. So it's a fun situation for the Dodgers to have. And I was looking up today, the Dodgers actually ranked 7th in best lineups going into this season. Now, you know who finished first? It was the New York Mets, who possibly have Carlos Correa. We're going to talk more about that on Mike's show this afternoon as well too. But Carlos Correa is still pending physical, so I hate that we keep making announcements about Carlos Correa's next move, and it's like, okay, but teams are not signing off on it. But I think that all in all, when you hear more and more coming out about the situation, he just didn't want to sign with the Mets. It's that simple. They kind of jumped the gun because the Mets were the first ones with a big contract in his face. And then when the Mets came in with their deal, people are doing everything correct. When I looked at the line that Vargas out in there in center field, and Outman blazed it up. He had play in the playoffs, but he was a guy that a lot of people were excited about. And then Gavin Lux finally gets to ease into his natural position, which is shortstop, because he has been a defensive liability as he played second base, third base, and outfield. But I think, though, every time I saw him play shortstop, he actually played the position very well because that's the position he actually plays. And I feel like these 3 youngsters that the Dodgers have in place, you already had Lux here for a while. I think that those 3 will do exactly what Bellinger did, what Seager did, and the Dodgers still have their other young guy still left. But there was a little surge of young players that came up and played for the Dodgers, and they contributed right away, and they did very well. I think that the same blueprint is happening here. And even before Bellinger and Seager, you had damn near a whole lineup full of guys that they brought up from the farm. One of my favorite groups: Russell Martin, Andre Ethier, James Loney, Matt Kemp. Then guys that didn't make it somewhat, Andy LaRoche, who's very Adam LaRoche, actually. Andy's the big brother. Juan Guzman, who's traded in a Lugo deal. All these guys were top prospects for the Dodgers, and they did have it at one point where all of them were up. You know what I mean? They're all up there together. And so pretty much the Dodgers are kind of working towards that once again. And I think that all in all, the Dodgers will be absolutely golden moving forward. So there it is. There it is. With that, we're going to go ahead and take our first commercial break. And when I get back, it's time to talk some hoops. We got the college basketball game of the day. And then we also have ourselves the NBA two-step tonight. We got 2 games in the NBA tonight. Not a full big schedule, but we have 2 games. And then after that, we will go ahead and talk those tickets. So you guys stay tuned. This is the Premier Sports Betting Show, the PrimeTime Angles Live with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper.
Now you and your friends can compete in the sport of kings and win big with Stable Duel. Get the app, pick your horses, and get in on the thrill of horse racing with daily games competing against other players. Bring home the glory and the cash and move up the annual leaderboard while you leave your competition in the dust. Get in the game with Stable Duel. Play, race, win.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another, and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
All right, here we are. Here we are. Let's go ahead and jump into the college basketball game of the day, and that's going to be the battle of Missouri and Illinois. One of what they call bragging rights when these two teams get together. They play each other every December, pretty much right before Christmas, and this is going to be a good one because you have Illinois, who's number 16 in the nation right now, 8-3 coming into the game. Missouri is 10-1, with their one loss being a blow. They have that, that wasn't a good look for them in that game. They were absolutely. Illinois comes into this game playing pretty good basketball, too, but they're alternating wins and losses at this point as well, too. Good win against Texas is Texas on the neutral floor at Madison Square Garden. That was a national television. UCLA as well too. So they've beaten 2 top 8 teams. Those wins make Illinois look really good coming into this game. Now you do have then came back and won a 2-point game versus UCF last week. The 28th against Kentucky. So they are about to enter. Got my notes here. You have Missouri winning the last 88-63 in St. Louis, and tonight they meet up in St. Louis. Straight up on a neutral court, and then you have them 6-2. The spread, they're 5-5-1 overall. As a favorite, they're 3-4-1. Now, Missouri is 1-0 on neutral courts, and then they are 1 non-conference is the same record that they already have, is 10-1, but against the They have themselves a very, very fun team to watch. They're already coming in here as a 6.5-point favorite. People saw exactly the floor, but Illinois is no Kansas, in my opinion. What we I'm feeling real generous for all my people. Christmas Eve is coming up Saturday night. I know that you guys want to get some extra money because y'all been spending up so much money on these Christmas gifts. I already know crazy recession going on. So let me get you some money tonight. Love Missouri with the plus 225. And boy, oh boy, let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. But that's what I'm rocking here, and let's get it. Let's go. All right, so let's move forward and jump into our next subject, and that's NBA Thursday night. You got the Spurs and the Pelicans. The Spurs coming to this game. Very much better this month. They're actually winning games this month. To be honest with you, you know what I mean. They're still not good. They're still 10-20, but they're coming fresh off of a win the other night against the Rockets, where they won 124-105. And guess who gave you that game the other night? Pop DiBiase. So you guys, come on, man. You guys gotta see it. When you guys hit that dog of the day, you guys always have to acknowledge it. So the Spurs were our dog of the day on Tuesday. They're 4-4 in the month of December. Also, they're 5-8 straight up on the road. They're 9-19 as an underdog right now. Now versus their division, they're 2-3, and against the spread, they're 13-17. And then also when it comes down to to the spread, they're 6-7 on the road. And then when it comes down to the spread as a dog, they're 12-16. Now the spread versus the division, they're 3-2. Now in their 30 games, they have went under 15 times this year. And on the road in their 13 games, they're split at 6, but they also have a push as well, too. So there it is. Spurs coming into this one looking to go ahead and get a back-to-back win here, but Pelicans started off the month 5-0, and they were cruising. They were the number one seed in the West, and everybody was getting a little excited. Hold on a minute. As soon as they hit that 5 wins in a row, and they were the number one team in the West, they had themselves a matchup where they pretty much were settling things with Memphis, and they have absolutely went to manure. They have lost their last 4 in a row, so that's not good. You know what I mean? Because that's kind of been the Pelicans' season. They'll win 6 in a row, then lose 4 in a row. They'll win 7 in a row, then lose 5 in a row. That's kind of where this team is. They're not finding any consistency this year, but they're finding enough consistency to the point where they're one of the leaders in the clubhouse in the Western Conference. Now, when it comes down to them at home, they're 12-4. Now, as a favorite, they're 13-7. They've been as favorite 20 times. That's pretty good for this team. They've came a long way. Then you have the 5-1 against the spread and straight up versus the Southwest. Now, in 30 games, they're 15-15 against the spread. In 16 home games, they're 9-7 against the spread. And in 20 games as the favorite, they're 10-10. And then in their 30 games with the scoreboard, they have went over 17 times in those games. But at home, in the 16 they played, they've went under 9 times. So when I look at this game tonight, I say to myself that this one is really a very good game to deal with on the scoreboard tonight. And I truly feel like this can be an under game tonight simply because you have a desperate team in the Pelicans, and I think that they will have defense at a premium tonight. And they just want to win the game. They're not worried about beating this team by 40 points. They just want to win the game. And sometimes when you just want to win the game, scoring is not at abundance. And I feel like that's going to be the scenario tonight. That's going to be the situation. So I do like the way that this one sets up for the under 228 from what I'm reading right now. Now, we move on to our next game, which is going to be a really good one. This is going to be the Wizards and the Jazz. And the Jazz come in here 18 and 16, while the Wizards come in here 12 and 20. The Wizards had dropped 10 games in a row until they won the other night, beating Phoenix. Nine straight losses in December, and they lost their last game of November. Underdog, but versus the West, they are 5 and 7 straight up. But versus the West with the spread. And on the road, they've played 17 games. They've went under 10 times. So the Wizards coming in here pretty confident after a pretty good year when it comes to covering against Western Conference teams. How last game in Detroit 126 to 111, but they had lost 2 in a row before. But versus the Eastern Conference this year, they have struggled. They're 3 and 7 against the spread and straight up. Now, when it comes down to the spread, they are 19 and 15. And then when it comes down to the spread at home, they are 9 and 7. And when it comes down to the spread as a favorite, they're 4 and 8. Now, when it comes down to the over-under in their 34 games, they went over 18 times. And when it comes down to being a home team, they have played 16 home games. They have went over and under 8 times in each. And then when it comes down to playing the East with the over and under, they're 6 and 4. So, I mean, they've went over 6 times in those 10 games. So the Jazz have it working in their favor somewhat tonight, and I think that this one really caters to bettors that are looking for some value. I'm not saying the Wizards win this game because that's going to be difficult, but they were a 7-point dog the other night against a much better team. Tonight they come back as a 6.5. Utah is always a tough place to win at, in my opinion, for any team, but they have not been the best team to cover at home, but they've been really good at winning at home. So when I see how the numbers are shaping up, it tells me that let's go ahead, have a little bit of fun, because this is the Wizards' final game of this road trip as well, too. Let me double check and make sure I'm just not giving you guys some, just telling you stuff. Gonna double check on that 30 seconds. Wizards actually they got another home game road game tomorrow night in Sacramento, but they fly back. They get to spend Christmas at home, it looks like. So all in all, they're trying to at least get another win here while they're on the road, because they are on a 6-game road trip as well too. And they just got better and better as the trip went. Like, they lost by 9 to the Clippers, they lost by 2 to the Lakers, and then they wind up beating Phoenix by 3. So there it is. And pretty much I do like them with the plus 6.5 tonight. Now let's move on, and real quick, before we jump into any of this NBA stuff, but all right, so State of the Lakers last night. They are now 13 and 18 on the season. They are still, but nobody wants to talk about that. Everybody's going to talk about the Lakers, but the Lakers are without AD. Too. They're only 2 spots ahead. They're only ahead of San Antonio and Houston now. Out of a play-in spot, and to believe it or not, they're only 3.5 games out of the 7th seed, and believe it or not, they're only 4.5 games out of being the 6th seed. So they can really change their fortunes very quickly. But the thing is, though, they did drop to they did drop to 5-11 on the road. I think that's something that the Lakers do have to clean up. And I just truly feel like the Lakers just need to get 2022 over with. It's not been a good year overall. Even when it was the second half of the season, the Lakers didn't do well. But the Lakers are going through the motions. They started off the month with winning 2 in a row. Then they lost 3 in a row. Then they were able to win the next 3 out of 4. And then they lost 2 in a row. So the Lakers really needed to get that win against Boston because that was a confidence booster, in my opinion, that could have started a nice little run here. They went on the road, lost back-to-back divisional games as well, too. I don't think the Lakers have won a division game all season, to be honest with you, either. And that's a problem. And there's just a lot of things that the Lakers have to clean up at this point. And I think that if you're putting pressure on them to be really, really great right now, you're doing too much. So I truly do feel like they do need to figure out a way to get this thing going in the right direction. And I know slowly but surely, but they got about 4 more games left to go this month. If they win the next 3 out of 4, that will be a good sign going into the new year that the Lakers can possibly make a big move moving forward to get themselves to the playoffs. Right now, the Lakers just have to get in the playoffs, and then the rest is up to them. So that's my 2 cents on the Lakers. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. And when I get back, we'll jump into Talking Tickets. So you guys stay tuned. This is the Premier Sports Betting Show, the PrimeTime Angles Live with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another in Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, we are back with our next topic in hand, and that's going to be talk them. How we get down with Talking Tickets, you know how it goes. So in the NCAA, we have the CBB PrimeTime. And with that big number today, we're going to go ahead and we're going to play Carolina Queens College, brand new to D1. We're going to go ahead. And I think this is a good game for this team. This team is really good. Occasions that I've seen recently, and I think that you can trust them very, very good little situation. We're on to something here, and let's just go with the flow. Let's go ahead and look at the and let me make sure I got us everything that we needed to get. 6.5 Queens, and that's in North Carolina. We got South Carolina money. Creighton in the at Creighton, so they're in Nebraska the last month in Creighton. Then we have Kent State, probably it's a top 5 team this week, so they should really before I got Missouri as the dog of the day with the plus 225 tonight. So I like the way that this is shaping up. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shapes. And I know you guys just saw it, but you're going to see it again. And the double play tonight, the Spurs and the Spurs. We stuck right now. Internet issues. There goes, and then there is not. All right, so we have the plus 6.5. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. And you know what? I think that we do get some very good, a lot of scoring to go on in this game. So we'll see how this one shapes up. But of our next group, which is going to be the Armed Forces Bowl. Okay. Turned over real quick. Just having this are we got Air Force plus 2.5 here, first half. Then we got so we have that, and pretty much be our next subject in hand is going to be this one right here. It's going to and then we got the first quarter plus 125 tonight with the Jets having the Jaguars are going to get off to a fast start. That's what they're saying. And they're saying that I do like the over 36 here, the Jets money line first half and Jets first. Okay, so you know what? I don't want to okay, so there it is. Better had enjoyed the show. You better not be just sitting here just looking at the show, not enjoying it. So Hoops 101 because I have to look at how the weekend's working right now. So bet with your head, not with your heart. The movement is moving, and I'm your the PrimeTime Angles live, and we'll be back to it tomorrow. We'll be back to some tickets tonight.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.